and thank you very much for showing up here, where we would like to tell you about the TEMO course, and especially the transformation that we have done during the last year of transforming this course from a traditional lecture course and into a blended learning course where we use an electronic platform, and we would like to also introduce that one today. We will start out by telling you what is this course actually about, how do we teach it, just to give you the frame on what are we actually doing, because we think that's quite important in order to understand the choices of the transformation that we have done. And then, especially since it's e-TEMO that we would like to present, we will also introduce you to this e-platform that we have developed during this process. Yeah.
And you can say that's actually the secret about engineering. We like to understand what we're doing. Yes? That's not all, that's actually not all disciplines doing that. So that's why we would like to give you a little view into the concept first.
Yeah. And who are we? I am Sarah Grex from PSM, and you're Søren, from DTU Business. Yeah.
From DTU Business.
Yeah. And this is the plan, the course, the concept, and the e-platform. And we think we should spend most time on this last part, of course, to introduce that one. And since we are a small crowd here, you just interrupt and ask along the way. And we will keep track of time in the end. So you just ask away. What is TEMO? It stands for Technology, Economics, Management, and Organization. And what we would like to do is teaching the students to understand how the task of making engineering or making technology and engineering work successfully in an organization. And that's basically, we sometimes call this a crash course into understanding business development and organizations for students all over DTU. It's a candidate course of 10 points. We teach it every semester. For a whole Wednesday, we have all the students. They come from all different master programs, and for a large extent, it's actually mandatory for the students to have it, which is also part of our thoughts of how can we actually develop this course. We have around 325, I think it is, in average per semester at the moment. Yeah, so that's.
That's actually also part of our challenge, that the course is mandatory. As you might think of it as making an organization like, for instance, tax, you should make that popular. Yeah? So that's actually, kind of a challenge when almost all your audience is there because they have to, and not because they like to.
The purpose of the course is to qualify the students to analyze an organization from the strategic, tactical, and operational perspective. It is to qualify the students to define strategy and business model of a company, and it is to understand how engineers can contribute to the competitive advantage of a company. So a large extent of this course is also about what is your role as an engineer, to make that visible for the students, and how they can actually use their capabilities in a business context. Which for some of them is still somewhat blurred when they are at the candidate level. These are the learning objectives. I will not go into all of them, but mainly highlight that what we really emphasize in this course is that they, of course, learn the theories and the models that we teach them, but especially that they are able to apply them on real cases or on fictive cases that we present to them, so that they are able to apply and see how are these theories and models working in an analytical context, and also how can you use these models to propose solutions on how to solve the problems that they see in these in the cases that we present for them.
May I add something before you
go ahead?
Further? Actually, we think you can say that the art of making case analysis is a core competence for a management engineer. And that's what we're actually teaching them here, because one thing is to make a clever solution. It often takes a lot of experience that they don't have yet. But what we can do is actually to teach them how to make a good case analysis. So that's actually what what we're focusing on in the course extremely much.
Yeah.
What do you mean by case analysis?
I mean that the ability to go in and analyze a problem from more than one perspective and understand how you can actually handle it, and find, you know, some kind of balance between cause and effect. And some of them are not familiar with that kind of work, and that's very surprising.
Well, they would be used to dig into a specific corner,
Yeah, and,
deep,
yeah, and just do it. Yes.
That,
Yeah.
but here the idea is to look horizontally to some extent. Understand
yes, exactly. So actually, what can you say? The art of seeing a problem from more than one perspective, I think, is one of the key. It's actually one of the key takeaways.
And to frame the problem. What is actually the problem in this case? Because of course you can, in some of the cases, it's very obvious that it's going on the operational level in the organization, but seeing the connection to how this also relates to higher levels of the organization and decisions made in higher levels is also a challenge and a necessity to understand in this course. Over the time when we have taught this course, I think you started out, Søren, in 2008 or 7. So we have refined, and a toolbox approach is one of the things that has grown out of our experience of what the students really think is important, because we present and introduce them to, I would say, a large amount of models and theories. So to get an overview and to have some sort of guidelines on what are the tools and methods actually about in this course, we have collected that in a toolbox. So we present it to the students as well, saying that we have a toolbox approach, and learn this one, and you will have a good framework for how to navigate in this course, and also, of course, later on, because that's what is actually our higher purpose, that they are capable to navigate when they graduate afterwards.
And it appeals very much to engineers, of course, to have a toolbox, yes. And we had that from the start, so it has been part of the course from actually the very beginning, the idea of a toolbox.
Yeah, and it's built around central tools. One of them is the business model canvas that we teach from this book called Business Model Generation, and the STAR model of Galbraith, saying how can you have an integrated view on designing organizations, and then of course a lot of other models that is sort of supporting the understanding of these two main models, and that is how we are also framing it for the students.
Can I make a small
You can
drawing?
make a drawing, yeah.
Actually, we say that if you have to say in only one picture what it's all about. Then we have this little model called effectiveness. And efficiency. And we tell actually the students that this is actually all you need to know, because you have to pursue the right goals, and that's effectiveness, and then you have to use your resources smart. That's it. And then, of course, we have a lot of supporting models for each. And one of the major models is then we have the business model canvas. It's about pursuing the right goals. And then we have the STAR model. How can we use our resources smartly?
Yeah. As Søren just said before, case analysis is a central part of the course as well. And Birgitte Rasmussen, who is also teaching and helping us out in this course, has made this very nice note on how to do case analysis, which is a guideline for the students on very practical, actually, how to come about a case, finding the problem, who is the key problem owner, doing a causal analysis, and then also looking into solutions for problems. How do you do that? And especially what the challenge is actually is to make the students make analysis, both causal analysis for finding what are the reasons for the problem, but also making an analysis for proposing a solution. So it's not just the initial thought well, this is the problem, and they should just do this, and then everything will be all right. That's a very, I would say, neutral way of doing it for many students. So, and we really would like them to take the analytical approach to actually both have a better argumentation for why is this a problem, but also especially having a deeper understanding of what is the problem actually about, so they can propose solutions that are not just right ahead, but are more analytical founded.
And it corresponds actually very well to how the management consultancies are working. We are having almost all the management consultancies as part of the course. A.T. Kearney, Boston Consulting Group, McKinsey, and also some of the smaller, some of the smaller local ones. And it actually corresponds to the way they are working, the approach they are having. So that's very interesting indeed. And they are very much into hiring more engineers in the future. So that's interesting too. John?
Did they have any say on the way you have designed your learning objectives?
So far they have only been happy, and they call each semester and ask if they can come again. And sometimes we have to say, you cannot come this semester because now we have to, we need to give room for someone else. Yeah. It's not a marketplace for a specific company.
And we actually try to reduce it to only one management consultancy.
Yeah, one management consultancy per semester. Yes.
Yeah. No, but also to make it...
we would like them to hire more students. That's what they actually can do for us, yes?
But also to give the students a broader picture of what is their career path afterwards. It's not meant to be only about management consulting. So, Christian?
Well, I was actually in communication moment. I was told by a student that at CBS they actually use McKinsey McKinsey runs a course on solving cases, and they actually are evaluating the students by their CVs before in order to apply for participating in the course. So they actually go the whole way.
Indeed.
I just don't know if
it's a very cheap way to run a course, I guess. So that's the CBS style.
It is the CBS style.
And perhaps they should tell them also that this is only one way of doing it, as it's not the book of truth. But it's very interesting. They are very much around. But they say they would like to hire more engineers in the future, and I love that. But that's not the case today.
This is the TEMO journey, how we draw it. We have two parts in the course. As most of you know, we have a midterm exam in the middle of the semester. But for the first 6 weeks, we take the students through the whole curriculum, actually, and they work in cases in the afternoon, in groups. And then we have in the 7th week an individual oral exam, which not many of you who are here has been engaged in, but it's a nice task.
You still have the chance.
Yeah, you still have the chance.
Looking for a couple of them.
Yeah, and then after the oral exam, we say this is the sandpit. Here they are sort of playing in the protected environment, learning the theories, learning the curriculum, trying to apply it on cases, and they do presentations in the afternoon for each other in the classes that they are working in. So they do a lot of rehearsal, you can say, on how to work with these cases, how to work with the theories, and then they go to the individual oral exam. Then in the 8th week, we say now that they have passed the exam, they are ready for the real world. And then we present them for a company challenge. And this year we have A.T. Kearney and we have Maersk. Sometimes we also had TDC, we have had Novo Nordisk. Covi, yeah. A lot of big Danish companies also with a large international profile to present a challenge for the students that they are then working on in groups for the rest of the semester. And we like to pace the students a little. That's why we have the midterm exam, but also in the second part, we have 2 weeks after they have had the presentation, we ask the companies to come back, and then the students present their work so far, and they get feedback from the companies, so that they cannot postpone their work until 2 weeks before the deadline, and then they just work on the report. Or of course they can, but we urge them not to, and we sort of put in different events that will take them in another direction. And of course, in 2 weeks' time, when they only work 1 day a week on this, they cannot get that far ahead. But still, I think they actually take the task very serious, the students, and present a rather coherent analysis, and also with questions to the companies on how to deal with these dilemmas. So it's a quite fruitful event that we have on that day in week 10. And then they work on the report, and they hand it in the 13th week. Søren?
Is there some element of competition in the second part? I mean, I imagine you have like one case and then 10 teams working on the same case. Are you running anything like?
We don't have a formal competition, but they compete. You can say some of when they do their presentations, I think some of them are very eager to do a good job. Also because they might also want to be interested in making a good impression on the company. But we don't have a formal competition going on.
But you may say they compete sort of because the companies like to invite some of the best groups to make a presentation within the company. So in that way they can actually have something extra. Also have a chance to make a good position for them whenever they're going for a job. So you can say that's a kind of competition. Mikael?
Students are recruited very broadly. So
Yeah.
we see some problems in different levels of ambition inside these project groups.
We can see some different levels.
Yeah, we can see that.
Because some of our educations here actually demands a very high score to actually get in, and they are very clever, and some of our educations ask for nothing and they are not as clever. So we can see that, yes.
I mean, also in the level of ambition, what they want to do.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. And when they form groups already in the first week, the first day that we introduce the course to them, and we actually ask them to form around ambitions and interests, and also to because many groups are already formed beforehand, or they have they know each other and they have been working together. So we don't have a very formal way of doing of forming groups. We actually say it's all up to them. Go into a classroom when there's 60 people in the classroom, door is closed, and then the people in there will form groups together. And then we introduce them to group formation, of course, and especially emphasize, try to work with somebody else. You have a very good opportunity here of working both with people from other backgrounds, other study fields, but also from other countries, because I think we have like 30 or 40% of exchange students.
Sometimes even 50, and they say we can't have a course like this at our own university. And that's interesting.
So they form yourself, but you don't steer anything about you could say that you make sure that it's not only a group of electrical engineers, but
No, but we urge
actually
them
don't
to
control
mix.
it.
You don't control it.
No, because it gives a lot of trouble to try to control. And
we tell them what is the better way
enough
of doing and urging them to go in another direction. But if they have decided before coming to the course, it fits us very, very well just to be together, then it's actually their choice.
So how much diversity do you see in the actually formed groups then? Is it all that they just cluster together as they know each other, or do they really spread out and they go across?
I would say it's 50-50 probably, yeah.
And actually the most ambitious are actually also willing to meet new people.
Yeah.
It's often like that, and then the less ambitious, then you might have a group full of Italians or Greek people, and you know they are just going to pass, yes? That's it.
You said you encourage them also to look into ambitions
Yeah.
in the group forming.
Yeah.
I mean, that they simply ask each other, I really want
Yeah.
to do stuff.
We say group formation is that because they are 60 people, and some of them, of course, have maybe formed a group of 4. They should be 6, so they need some.
They have to be
more.
6.
And we then say, well, tell out your ambitions loud in the room, and especially because if you actually are aiming for a 12, which of course when they say it out loud, many of them are, but they also have to deliver on it, and
that's the best part.
Yeah, that's the best part. But then we actually also ask them to make a group contract where they then are more formalizing their their expectations for each other. And it's not only ambitions, it's also whether you would like to work together in weekends, because maybe that's the only time that they can actually meet, besides the Wednesday that they have the course. So is that feasible or is that not feasible? How many hours do we expect to put in this course and so forth? So that they actually try to be more specific than just, well, I want a 12, and not really thinking about what does it really take to get a 12. So
it's expectation management. And they should also tell what would have actually happen if you're not going to, because then whenever we have these stupid problems, we have a social loafer, we can ask, what have you put into your contract? What happens?
So I'm confused with the numbers, because sometimes you refer to 60 students, but you say 325 students.
yeah, but that's because we have several classes of 60 students working in groups in the afternoon. Yeah.
Handled by TAs.
Yeah.
So you have, is there 2 TAs
For 60.
for 60?
Yeah, so because we cannot have only one, because what happens if the TA is actually sick? So we have 2 TAs as in a group of at least 60.
Yeah.
And they learn a lot too. It's a lot of people to handle for students.
Jan?
Well, I don't know if this is the time to expand on this. I have a lot of experiences and points when it comes to forming groups. As opposed to you, I do proactively form the groups.
Yeah.
I make sure that a group is only electrical engineers, or it is only biotech, or it is only nanotech, because if it isn't, they get silly ideas. If you have engineering specialties as a core competence, before you know it, they are somewhere where you cannot follow them at all. And what they do is creating a very, very good competitive edge in the knowledge core. So for that reason, I think that groups should be specialized in the engineering field. And when we talk about cross-disciplinary groups, it's more in the later stage when businesses are starting to be formed that they need people with specific business competences, and that's the point in time when you could expand on the disciplinary fields. Then I make sure that no Danish group is allowed to stay Danish. We have 52% foreign engineers on my course, and the Danish, quite a few of the Danish students are afraid of going into the international groups for various reasons. Foreign students come to DTU with the expectation of mingling with Danish students, so I do active mingling. Further, we have lectures, a lecture on cross-cultural group work, and if they do this right, they can get a lot of inspiration out of it, plus, of course, future collaboration with people from other places in the world, and finally, they learn to work in cross-cultural groups, which is what they will for almost the rest of their lives. So I see some reasons for being proactive in the group formation, but I have not found the real good equation for doing so, and I think we should consider developing some sort of matchmaking facility, an app, for instance, that could help students to find each other.
Perhaps we could use some of the existing apps, like, Love Matching or Tinder or something. But we have tried something similar to you many seasons ago. So we have been almost everywhere, and we believe that a certain amount of freedom is best.
I think it also depends on the course. I think in your case, of course, intercultural collaboration is perhaps even more important. We were running a course in life cycle assessment, where we also run real company cases, but they're different cases, individual cases. So there we're telling them that we need this expertise. You have whatever chemical engineering expertise, or biochemical, or building, and this is relevant for that case. So we ensure that there's some environmental specialists and there's some technical specialists, and they buy that.
Yeah,
Because
of
from
course.
our side, it's also a way of ensuring. But it's true, it is very touchy if you try to force them into something that they don't themselves feel is okay. So you really need, to either let it free as you do, or really have them, to buy in on your criteria. Why is this the right criteria?
But I mean, I guess your courses they're non-mandatory for a lot of students, so it's another starting point.
Yeah, it's a huge difference.
And another different level of motivation for the students also.
Well,
I would say.
actually, that's why I asked, because we have a big problem with Danish students not wanting to team up with foreign students, because they experience many foreign students just want to pass.
Yes.
They don't transfer their
It's a
grades.
matter of ambition.
Here, just buying
But in a way, that's a fair point of view. So,
Well, one thing is the professional differences. The other thing is the learning culture.
Oh yeah, that's also true.
Well, the Danish know our system, and they don't.
Yeah.
So that's why I make it international groups, because then they can support each other. Then they come up, well, we Erasmus students, we didn't know that you were doing it like this.
Yeah. But another side to it is actually also that it is when we actually formed the group beforehand to try to make it with all these diversities and ensuring them, it actually caused a lot of troubles because we were mixing people with different ambitions, and they were splitting up because you had people very, very ambitious that they really wanted this course, they needed it for their program, and others were just, they didn't care. And it's a really, really bad combination. And it cost a lot of work for us to both handle these groups and, well, in first place, making the groups and handling all these issues. And then when they were splitting up in the end.
and it's not a bloody high school, it's a university, and they are supposed to be master students. So we must ask something from them as well. And it also matters of how much time you would like to spend on a course that are consuming a huge amount of time already.
Okay, so Susanne.
This always happens. You get into a group and you have dead weight. And what do you do? How do you handle it? And my groups are allowed to sack people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
They cannot do the pass exam.
They must be responsible for themselves.
But it works. And I support those groups that sack people because it doesn't work. And it helps a lot
Yeah.
to get those
But we don't want too much of that. If we can limit it to, as it's extremely effective to hang a man, but you shouldn't hang 1,000.
Susanne?
One last comment, I think, it's not the time to go on with the slides, but working with the study leaders that have your course in their study program, it would be so important to have them on board and see the value of the course. So they introduce it in a nice way so that it could help on the attitude of the students when they turn up with the course. And the students are talking in between, but I also know study leaders that I've met that are critical. Why do they need this course? Or do they need so many credits?
Yeah.
And I think one of the convincing parts is that they teach, I heard that from, who was it, one of the director of one of the big engineering companies saying that they are taught to design Rolls-Royce. But what she is asking them to deliver in the company is something that maybe a Volkswagen or something else that fits with what the customer or what the situation is asking for. And I think that could be maybe one of the
And you, as it's true, Susanne.
to help on that dialogue with the study leaders. Because
Sounds good. Sounds good.
we should do something.
I think actually something has happened with the reputation during the years. So maybe some of the study leaders actually have done this, because I think the skepticism is not as big as it has been before.
And I think that some of the study leaders should have the course themselves, because they are still lost as in the belief that it's all about technology and not about what customers want.
That's why it's worth taking a
Okay, let's move on. What is then going on in the first part? Now we're in the first 6 weeks of the course. As we were saying, this is the sandpit. They have to crawl before walking and running. And the activities, that's our e-lectures and our live talk shows. You could say this is how we have replaced traditional lectures. And we will tell you more about it. Then we have the casework assisted by TAs, which they're doing in groups. And then you have the individual oral exam. So different learnings in this first part is applying the curriculum, doing case analysis, group work, making group work work. And also practicing oral presentation. And for some of them, it's also a very new thing. They haven't done that in the bachelor's, and some of them haven't even tried out a oral exam before. That's especially the foreign students.
A
They're
lot of
very
foreign students
unfamiliar with it.
have not experienced oral exams as in their studies before.
Part 2, they, as we told you, company challenge and the workshop, that's the feedback, and the feedback session where they meet the company again. Project work, and here you can say from the the big difference between the sandpit and the real world is that now the problem isn't that obvious as it is in these fictive cases that we are presenting them in the beginning. Now it's much more messy. So even though they're actually doing the same as they are in the first part, the big difference is actually to find out what is the problem here. Yeah, exactly. And that as well, yeah. Maybe. Yeah.
And as we all know, it can be a lifelong activity.
It's part of the body. You just plug in. Yeah. So report writing and also doing project management, of course, is part of the more hidden learnings in this part too. Let's just see here. So we call this blended learning because they are being taught partly on this platform that we'll introduce you to a short while. And then we have these exercises, e-lectures, we have talk shows, articles, videos, and of course we have the books that they also should read. And it might be a little, what could you say, unnecessary to say that you also have to read the books to the students, but actually it's important to emphasize because otherwise they don't. Many of them have a way of learning that you go to the lecture, and now we're talking about more traditional lectures, and this is where you're sort of taught the book. And then you go to your exercises and you do them, and then you might read afterwards or look up afterwards. And this is their way of learning, and we are flipping this around here. So if they want to get the most out of this course, or actually we expect them to have prepared themselves from home, so reading the books, having seen that they have seen the e-lectures on the platform also before coming to the live talk shows, especially if they want to be prepared and if they want to get as much out of them as possible. And I would say we still have to teach the students to learn in this course.
Are you asking them to read the books before they go to the e-lectures, or are they doing that in parallel?
We would like them to do it first.
Yeah.
First you read, and then you go to the platform and see the movies and the e-lectures, and then you come for the talk show and then understand what we're talking about.
Do you know whether they're doing that?
No. But I mean, whether they read before they see the e-lectures or do it the other way around, that's not that important. But the important thing is that they have done it before they show up for the more common practices. Because otherwise, if they come to the to the talk shows and expect this is where we are learning,
then they are going to be
what the curriculum is about, then they will be disappointed.
And also the exercises in the afternoon.
Yeah.
We have actually told the TAs that if they ask them questions that actually reveals that they haven't read the book, they can say, please go out and read the chapter, and then I will answer your question. Because we must be able to expect something from the students as well. And unfortunately, I think it's a DTU kind of tradition that you just go to, you know, as you can just go to the weekly lectures, and that's enough. But not in this course, Cham.
So there's a change process going on here that they have to do something differently. Yeah.
And then this midterm is a win-win situation because it's really great to have a midterm because they have to work from the start hard. And then, yes, it might be that you only have a 7 or 10, but then you have the opportunity to improve. And if you have an A at the oral exam, you will do everything to keep it. It's wonderful. Unless you are going to have a 4, because then you can end up having only 7, and that's a problem with a 7 scale, yes? A 4 is really, then you're stuck in the middle.
Okay, we'll now move on to tell you a little on how we have changed the concept and what our ideas was behind the new concept that we have developed. And just to tell you a little, before we were lecturing from 9 to 12 in the big auditorium where there wasn't room enough for everybody, because I think it's only 300, and especially in the beginning, a lot of people are showing up, so they're sitting all over the place, and they were very dissatisfied with that. And then in the afternoon, they're working on these cases. Now they meet us for the talk shows at 10. Mm-hmm. It is, yeah, 10 to 11:30, and then they go to the afternoon as usual.
Running 6 talk shows?
4.
4 talk shows. The first course, or the first lecture, is an introductory lecture where we introduce the course, how do you learn the course, and so forth, and sort of setting the scene, introducing them to the group work. And then on the 6th lecture, we have a briefing on the oral exam and a wrap-up of this is what we've been through, so that we also make sure that that they know what both the oral exam is about, what the curriculum that they are supposed to learn is about, and we go through the TEMO toolbox. So we have an introduction, wrap-up, and then in between 4 talk shows. Yeah.
And you still have the talk shows in the library?
Yeah.
Meaning that you can accommodate, what, 50, 70 people?
No,
No.
250 if, yeah. They are actually placing a lot of chairs. And usually we have a full house the first time, and then they actually realize that they can sit at home seeing it because it's actually live streamed, and then we're not having a full house next time.
How many would live stream? Do you have any idea?
That depends on how many is showing up, but I would say there's maybe between 50 and 100 who is not live streaming and not attending.
And some of them will stream it anyways.
Then they will just see it later on as a podcast. So if we have, yeah, I would say it's 2/3 who is either streaming or showing up. Yeah. And actually live streaming was where it all began, because we started live streaming from the auditorium in the beginning, when we had too many students to fit in, and that actually was the starting point for us to say, well, it's not necessary that we stand here and repeat ourselves semester after semester. Let's use our time more efficient with the student, and also trying to meet what is actually difficult in this course. And what is difficult here is to introduce them to the praxis of being in the company, to applying these theories and models, and we would like to have more reflection with them. What are these theories actually about? How can we illustrate it even better? And also to introduce more role models from the real world, because of course when we spend a lot of time on going through the curriculum, there weren't that much time for guest lectures. So now we have, instead of 1 guest lecture, we have 4, you could say, guests with the talk shows.
And they're often engineers, so they're also acting, as you say, as a role model.
Yeah, we prioritize
Seeing
the
that,
engineers.
okay, you can have a career like that too if you're an engineer.
Yeah.
But you're not really flipping the classroom, right? You're just changing the classroom, because you're not running first the exercises and then you look at it from a theory point afterwards and reflecting upon what you did in learning theory. You really have the classroom just in a different format.
No, I would say because there's something different is also happening then in the classroom. Because you could say we flip the classroom concept that you don't sort of go through the theory together and then you have to do the exercises by yourself. But flipping and saying, let's do some exercises together and you prepare yourself with the theories, and then you're ready for doing the exercises together.
And we're also flipping the classroom at the talk shows, because these our guest stars are not supposed to talk about the models and theories. They're just coming and giving a story, an exciting story that, of course, is about either strategy or
developing business models.
Yes, exactly.
Changing.
But they are not
management.
supposed to say anything about our theories and models. But then we will do it afterwards. First, they're giving a presentation, and then they're interviewed on stage, and then we have questions from the audience. And at the end, we're going on stage and saying what he or she actually said can be understood like this and this. If you take in this theory and model, you can understand why he or she are doing as they are. So in that way, you can say it's kind of flipping the classroom. John?
I think the initial understanding of flip the classroom was this very simple one that you take your lectures at home and do your homework at home.
Yeah.
And that is what you do.
Yeah.
That's is well, at least what
Thank
we're
you, John.
inspired from. Yeah, yeah, that part of it. Yeah.
Can you say something more about the e-lectures?
Yes, we will come into to the platform just in a short. I would just say another criteria was that we would actually like to make a hot course, so that this was a very nice and neat course and a bit of a surprising event almost to come to, since we have all these students who are there for mandatory reasons and might be a little skeptical on why do we need this course? What is it good for? So surprising them, and by that embracing them and maybe convincing them a little that this is actually quite relevant for them as well.
Come in,
Welcome.
And of course, you're going to see an e-lecture. We have carefully picked the longest one you're going to see.
Are you coming back to the talk shows, or
Yeah, we will.
we will show you.
We'll show you a bit of it, so we can just come back to it. And then also trying to create something that is flexible, so we can give these different students different value propositions, so to speak, that if you would like the full package and you would really like to dig deep into this course, then you will have a lot of possibilities for doing that. If you just want to pass, or if you are not very ambitious on this, just going for the middle, then read the books, go to the e-lectures, you might take some talk shows, and you go to the exercises in the afternoon, but you're not really using all the possibilities. So the students can actually prioritize their own effort in this course, depending on how they prioritize it in their own program. So this flexibility was also a criteria that we would like to put in.
And to some extent, that was a serious problem at the old course, because we had to take everybody through, yes? So we have to put down the level to make sure that everybody could step over. Here it's more or less actually the students' own
choices.
Yeah, choices or responsibility.
Yeah, okay, let's move away from this. So now, Søren, you'll just tell me how you would like it to be presented here.
But how much time do we have left?
We have 1 hour.
1 hour.
Do you
how
need a
about
break?
a 5 minutes break then? Would that be okay?